Do you ever feel upset or angry or frustrated whenever your romantic interest or your partner does things that are outrageous? Perhaps you've been broken up with. Perhaps they've left you for someone else. Perhaps they've cheated on you. Perhaps they've done something disproportionate. And when they've done this thing, you feel agitated. You feel like, how could you do that to me? For example, they tell a lie, or you discover that they've told a lie, and you come to think that they are a liar at heart, but they are in fact not a liar at heart. Rather than subjecting ourselves to the fundamental attribution error, you have a good, justifiable reason in your own mind as to why you tell a lie. The same goes for your romantic interest or your partner, if they tell you a lie. For example, they might say they're not interested in having a relationship at this time. But what they really mean is they're not interested in having a relationship with you. And when you discover that this was actually just a lie, how are you going to respond? And this is the thing. The reason people do these types of things, you yourself included, is because of pain. We fear retaliation. We are trying to escape from pain. Now, pain is always going to exist. This is the big problem. And no matter which direction you're going to choose, pain's going to be either to the left or pain's going to be to the right. Pain is always going to be either direction. No matter what you choose. You can choose not to share information. You could choose to share information. Either direction is painful. The direction you generally will choose, though, is the direction that's less painful. So if cheating on you, for example, is a thing, it's because it was much less painful than being with you. Telling a lie was much less painful than telling the truth because of the potential retaliation, because of the fear of your own manipulation to try and get that person to remove your own pain. And all of this pain, right? If your partner, your romantic interest, they're taking drugs or they're having promiscuous sex or they're doing something that is disproportionate, it is because they are in tremendous pain. Me, myself, I really reflected on this when I was eating more McDonald's than I normally would eat. I was eating a McSpicy chicken burger and I was eating a double quarter pounder with a coffee and also a Coca-Cola. And I don't really want to eat McDonald's. I really don't. But the reason I bought all that food and I ate it was because I was feeling so much pain in my own head, I suppose, my whole body actually. I was in so much sort of pain that I just needed to get rid of the pain. Not right now. I don't want to deal with that pain. We're all subject to this. We are all experiencing this type of thing. This thing doesn't necessarily go away. And we do whatever we can to eliminate that pain. So for me, my coping mechanism is overeating food. Now, your coping mechanism or the coping mechanism of your partner might be completely different. You might overwork. They might, they might have promiscuous sex, for example, and this gets them really high. They might be taking some type of drug or something. They might be, I don't know what it is they're doing, right? Something chaotic, perhaps. This is an indicator of how much intense pain they are experiencing. The more rigid the appearance, which is just a facade, the more vulnerable they are inside. They are human. And so it's easy, for example, if you're a man and you look at the woman, she's, maybe prostituting herself, for example. It's very easy to look at her and say, she's broken. She's a broken vase. She's not worthy of any man's attention, at least no man with self-respect. And to some extent, that may be true. But also, why would this girl perhaps be moving in that direction? In my mind, it would be because she has experienced so much internal suffering that she needs some type of relief, an escape. It is only temporary, and that's the downside as well, is that it's temporary. And it's also a cycle, so it keeps repeating. And it's like, well, we know now that the problem isn't the behavior itself. Not necessarily. The behavior does determine the habit, so look at that in that way. But the problem is the pain itself. The pain is causing the person to take action. And so you might think to yourself, okay, if you're like me, how do I stop my partner from doing XYZ? How do I get my ex back? Things like that. Now, the thing that's actually causing your romantic interest or partner pain is probably not exactly what you're thinking. For example, if you want your ex back, obviously them coming back to you relieves your pain, but it doesn't relieve their pain because you're actually causing them pain. It's actually the tiny, tiny, tiny little things that actually cause tremendous pain. Tremendous pain. So you could be dishing out advice throughout half the day, talking about your side of the story. That alone is going to cause someone significant pain. And so what you really want to be doing is discovering what exactly is causing someone pain. They could be depressed, living in the past. They could be super anxious, thinking about the future. They could be oscillating between the two. So what exactly in those realms is causing the pain? Now, the pain itself is never going to go away again, but it is our own perception or interpretations of how to handle the pain that actually is where the pain comes from. The pain is actually our own self-induced perceptions with an external stimuli. And so the miracle here is actually, if you want things to change, you have to get rid of the pain. You have to figure out what's causing the other party to be feeling such tremendous pain that it causes them to carry out such disproportionate actions as a coping mechanism. It's very logical to look at this as like a multimillionaire. You could literally just pay for a lot of people's problems to go away. It won't necessarily delete a lot of problems, but it will remove a big chunk. Now, I understand a lot of people aren't multimillionaires, so they don't really have that capacity. But there are other things that maybe we can learn to do. One of the things that we can aim to become a lot more better at is being a lot more empathetic while also still being self-respectful. We can learn to be a lot more curious, a lot more antithetical, meaning we look at opposites and we look at contrasting patterns. We learn to be better communicators ourselves instead of worrying about what the other party has done or are doing. We can become someone who is a lot more self-actualized. We can ourselves respond to very dire situations with a more positive and zen attitude. Because if you can get someone to trust you, or if you can get someone to see you in a certain light, or if you can get someone to feel that you are useful, then you can get someone to see you as something you desire. You can get someone to see you as a partner. You can get someone to see you as a solution to their problem, to their pain. Now, if you were to go buying a washing machine, 99% of people out there, they're not looking for a washing machine, except for the 1% who are looking for washing machines. And so obviously these people, they really want a washing machine. It would solve a lot of their pain of having to hand wash their own clothes. And so if you want to sell a washing machine, you sell to the people who are looking for a washing machine. But to the 99%, they're not going to buy a washing machine because they don't really feel or have that pain. And so your solution, even though your solution works, it's not a solution that can resolve their pain because that's not the pain they're experiencing. And for the 1% who are interested in buying a washing machine, they must first, in order to buy your washing machine, if you sell them, for example, they have to first visualize themselves experiencing having that washing machine. This is Manifestation 101. So, in conclusion, the reason your romantic interest or partner or even you yourself are engaging in disproportionate or self-sabotaging habits is because you are experiencing a lot of emotional pain and you are seeking to escape that pain. So don't judge the other party when they're escaping their pain. Next, identify what is causing the pain and become the answer to that pain's problem. Eliminate the pain, preferably both yours and theirs.